We're live from New Delhi, you're watching DT India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next hour. Indian Space Research Organisation carries out historic 100th mission from Sriharikota. GSLV F-15 successfully carries NVS-02 into its planned orbit. India rejects Canada's report on election interference, says that it is Trudeau government which is consistently interfering in India's internal affairs. A US court temporarily blocks President Trump's freeze on funding for federal aid programs at an emergency hearing after Trump's order triggers nationwide chaos and confusion. M23 rebels take control of DRC city of Goma as UN and African Union call on the rebels to lay down arms. Embassies targeted in Kinshasa as US urges UN intervention. And on to the top story, the Indian Space Research Organisation has achieved a historic milestone with the successful launch of its 100th mission from Sriharikota, carrying the NVS-02 satellite into the orbit. Here's a report. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1...
The Indian Space Research Organisation achieved a remarkable milestone on Wednesday with the successful launch of its 100th mission from Sriharikota. The GSLV F-15 rocket carrying the NVS-02 satellite lifted off from the Satish Dhawan Space Centre in the South Indian state of Andhra Pradesh.
I am extremely happy to announce from the spaceport of ISRO that the first launch of this year, 2025, has been successfully accomplished.
GSLV F-15 very successfully executed its mission by placing the NVS-02 satellite into its precise geostationary transfer orbit. We mark a historic milestone, the 100th mission from Sriharikota, the spaceport of India.
The NVS-02 satellite is a navigation satellite equipped with payloads in L1, L5 and S bands as well as a ranging payload in C band. With a lift-off mass of 2,250 kilograms and power handling capability of approximately 3 kilowatts, NVS-02 is designed to enhance India's indigenous navigation with Indian Constellation or NAVIC system.
Coming to NVS-02, it is the second satellite in the second generation of the navigation satellite series, NVS series, for the NAVIC constellation. Similar to its predecessor NVS-01, it has an indigenous atomic clock, which will showcase our capability in this very critical technology. Also, it has L1 band navigation signal, along with the heritage L5 and S signals. It will expand and widen our navigation services. The main mission objective of NVS-02 is to provide position, navigation and timing services for the Indian mainland and 1,500 kilometers surrounding it.
The NAVIC system is India's answer to global navigation satellite systems. It provides crucial position, velocity and timing services. ISRO's 100th launch from Sriharikota marks a significant achievement for the space agency. Since its first launch in 1979, ISRO has come a long way, achieving numerous historic milestones.
So this this 100th launch by GSLV placing NVS-02 is going to significantly enhance the PNT services in the country and is going to contribute a lot to the science and technology. Again, it is a significant milestone for us, demonstrating our commitment for self-reliance and indigenous development.
The Indian Space Research Organisation has demonstrated its capabilities in launching satellites, spacecraft and other payloads into the orbit and has established itself as a major player in the global space community. With inputs from Anabarsan Elango, Antara Sinha for DD India.
And India's Minister of Science and Technology, Jitendra Singh, has congratulated ISRO for the launch on his social media platform X. And I quote, "Congratulations ISRO for achieving the landmark milestone of 100th launch from Sriharikota. It's a privilege to be associated with the Department of Space at the historic moment of this record feat. Team ISRO, you have once again made India proud with successful launch of GSLV F-15 NVS-02 mission. From a humble beginning by Vikram Sarabhai, Satish Dhawan and few others, it has been an amazing journey. And a quantum leap after PM Narendra Modi unlocked the space sector and instilled the confidence that sky is not the limit. Anti-India correspondent Armanasan Elango spoke to the ISRO chief V. Narayanan after the historic launch. The chief threw light on the journey of ISRO from 1979 and elaborated on the latest GSLV F-15 launch.
Launch of the 100th mission. So what about the humble start from the 1979 we have reached right to the 100th mission?
No, it is a great starting. 1979 we had the first SLV-3 launch. After that we have developed generations of launches including ASLV, PSLV, GSLV, GSLVM-3, SSLV, and with all these things we have accomplished this mission, and through this rocket launches we have accomplished important missions like Chandrayaan 1, Chandrayaan 2, Chandrayaan 3, Mars Orbiter landing mission, Mars Orbiter mission, and placing 104 satellite in a single mission, accomplishing space recovery experiment. Like a lot of things are done. Not only that, communication satellites, navigation satellites, remote sensing satellite, satellite for disaster warning and management, satellite for earth observation, satellite for resource management. Lot of things have been done through this 100.
The Union Cabinet recently cleared the third launch for the Sriharikota.
No, third launch pad is meant for sending the next generation launcher, which is 1000 kg lift-off mass, 91 meter height rocket. Also for improving the frequency of launch of the LVM-3 rocket, plus for future human spaceflight program. So that already we got approval. In 4 years we are going to complete the project.
And India has firmly and unequivocally rejected a Canadian Commission's report about alleged interference. The Ministry of External Affairs issued a strongly worded rebuttal dismissing the baseless allegations by Canada. The MEA said, and I quote, "We've seen a report about alleged activities and purported interference. It is in fact Canada which has been consistently interfering in India's internal affairs. This has also created an environment for illegal migration and organized criminal activities. We reject the report's insinuations on India and expect that the support system enabling illegal migration will not be further countenanced." And India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is on a 3-day visit to the UAE, called on President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan and conveyed warm greetings of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In a social media post, Minister Jaishankar said that the leaders discussed continued progress in comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries, adding that he values his guidance for its future growth. And shifting focus to the United States, where President Donald Trump's attempt to freeze hundreds of billions of dollars in federal aid were temporarily blocked in court on Tuesday. Minutes before it was due to take effect at 2200 GMT, a federal judge blocked Trump's spending freeze that would have affected thousands of federal grant programs. The court will revisit the issue on Monday. The Trump administration said programs delivering benefits directly to Americans would not be affected. The White House said the freeze was needed to ensure federal aid programs are aligned with the Republican president's priorities. It was unclear whether other multi-billion-dollar grant programs such as scientific research, highway construction and addiction recovery would be affected. Democrats criticized the spending freeze as unlawful and dangerous. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio issued a waiver on Tuesday for life-saving humanitarian assistance during a 90-day pause in foreign aid while Washington undertakes a review. The U.S. foreign aid pause risks cutting of billions of dollars of life-saving assistance. The United States is the largest single donor of aid globally. In fiscal year 2023, it disbursed $72 billion in assistance. And Donald Trump has also ordered an end to all federal funding or support for health care that aids the transition of transgender under the age of 19. The order fulfills the campaign promise to end sexual child mutilation and apparent reference to transgender-related health care such as puberty blockers and hormone therapy that help people transition from one gender to another. The order aims to block Medicare payments for such health care, also known as Obamacare, which prohibits insurance companies from denying coverage to transgender patients. Trump directed the Health and Human Services Secretary to, within 90 days, publish a review of the existing literature on best practices for transgender health care for minors. And President Donald Trump on Tuesday offered most of federal workers the option to leave their jobs in exchange for 8 months severance. The deferred resignation program would allow federal employees to remain on the payroll through September 30th but not have to work. Federal buyouts are generally capped at $25,000. The email gives federal employees until February 6th to decide whether to take part. As per the email received, the administration expects to see a more streamlined and flexible workforce. While the military and some agencies are likely to increase the size of their staff, the majority of agencies are likely to be downsized through restructurings and layoffs. And in an effort to reach beyond the mainstream media in the US, the Trump administration is inviting TikTokers and podcasters to apply for press passes for White House briefing room. The move, spearheaded by White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, aims to provide representation to groups that have not been previously represented in the briefing room before. In her first time at the White House podium, Karoline Leavitt said an additional seat for new media voices has been reserved in the briefing room, adding that anyone producing legitimate news content can apply for press credentials. The new press secretary also vowed to hold reporters accountable for what she said were lies about Trump. Trump has repeatedly criticized traditional media, calling it enemy of the people, and he credits a series of podcast appearances for aiding his return to the White House. And still to come in DD India News Hour. Trump administration continues to step up immigration arrest. In the wake of the sanctions against Nicolas Maduro's regime, Ecuador proposes to sell oil daily to nations that currently purchase oil from Venezuela. And North Korea's Kim Jong-un vows to continue nuclear program indefinitely amid hints of inevitable confrontation with hostile nations.
This week on Defense Dynamics, explore India's scramjet breakthrough in hypersonic missiles and its edge in global tech. Why is India reviving its German submarine deal with HDW after 50 years? Find out what's at stake in Project 75I. How does Pralay strengthen India's border defense? A closer look at its tactical advantage. And is China's air power really ahead of India's? The IAF versus PLAAF comparison that might surprise you. Catch it all this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. Lepakshi Khurana. And moving on, as we told you earlier, that the US court has temporarily blocked President Donald Trump's freeze on funding for federal aid programs at an emergency hearing after Trump's order triggers nationwide chaos and confusion. And for more, we have Anil Thomas joining us on this. Well, Anil, good morning. What can you tell us about the court's temporary block of President Trump's spending freeze, and how might this affect the administration's ability to implement future cuts to federal aid.
Well, good morning, Lepakshi. It's very much on the expected lines. This particular promise that Trump has made even during his political campaign, he's just trying to shake things up as the way he promised. And I think he knows the challenges, especially the legal challenges that come with this particular move that he's taken. But he also knows the brownie points that he can score with it, especially when it comes to his own party men, which are important. And I think he's sticking to his ground. He's got time till Monday now because the court's order is till Monday, so he gets time to breathe. His legal team would come back strongly prepared for this particular argument and counter argument that follows. But all in all, I think it helps him get brownie points, especially within his party. One. Secondly, it also tries to shake things up. And thirdly, a leaked mail that's currently come out of the Pentagon clearly indicates that, not all, as the hue and cry has been made, is going to get affected by this particular move. And I think that would give a lot of sigh of relief to a lot of people who are going to get affected. There are few places where it is going to come down very heavily. But all in all, big issues like Mediclaim, Mediclaim insurance are all students' loans, are all that are not going to be affected. And I think as the news trickles down and you get more and more clarity on how exactly it's going to be implemented, I think it's not going to have that kind of a cascading event as we have seen take place in the court.
Also, Anil, what impact could the freeze have on critical programs like scientific research, addiction recovery, humanitarian assistance, as order has caused a lot of confusion and chaos among the US agencies itself?
Well, exactly. That's been a cause of concern. I think this is the first week of the Trump administration. We had the press briefing that took place today, and I think a lot of issues that led to confusion have been clarified in the press conference that was done by the press secretary. And not only that, there is also assurance being given that point by point all clarifications will be issued on the White House mail. So I think the clarity is very much given by the press secretary, and I think we'll have to wait and watch for how things trickle down slowly, because most of the briefing that took place, most of the critical points or critical issues that were really raised have been doused, and I think one needs to wait and watch how things happen from here on, for the simple point that the Trump administration is very clear. All that they have asked, all the offers that have been given, even to federal employees, to go for the offer till September, that stays with them. So I think, though it's been objected strongly by the unions that are there in the United States of America, but I think the offer stands for people who have been given the option to resign, because they are looking at downsizing. They're trying to bring down cost, and to make to bring down cost, especially within the federal government, so that the cost of living also has a cascading effect on the people, and we could see the cost coming down even for the common man. But having said all this, it's a long drawn issue that's rattled America in particular, especially with this particular clause being brought about, and the judge giving both the sides, pro as well as con, time till Monday to ease things out.
Right, the trickling effect is surely going to be there. Thank you so much, Anil, for all those details. And moving on, US President Donald Trump's top Homeland Security official, Kristi Noem, joined officers in an immigration enforcement operation that arrested several people in New York City on Tuesday. The Trump administration stepped up immigration arrests in recent days, with about 1,000 to 1,200 arrests per day, far above the daily average of 311 in fiscal year 2024. The operation in New York involved agents from ICE's investigative arm known as Homeland Security Investigations, which normally focuses on transnational crime, including human trafficking, child exploitation and drug smuggling, as well as personnel from the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA. As Trump continues to push for more border reinforcements, U.S. Marines are working on adding barbed wire to sections of the southern border wall near San Ysidro on Monday. The operation, part of an initiative by U.S. Northern Command and the Department of Homeland Security, adds barriers to sectors of the border wall. And two Colombian Air Force planes carrying deputies from the United States arrived in Bogota on Tuesday, paving the way for U.S. President Donald Trump's administration to lift visa restrictions and other measures on Colombian citizens. One plane flying from San Diego, California, brought 110 Colombians, and the other, which departed from El Paso, Texas brought 91 people. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro averted an economic disaster over the weekend after diplomats from his government and the U.S. reached a deal on deportation flights in a dispute that had led both the countries to threaten tariffs and the U.S. to impose visa measures. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt stated on Tuesday that Colombian authorities agreed to all of President Trump's demands regarding the deportation of their nationals.
President Trump swiftly directed his team to issue harsh and effective sanctions and tariffs on the Colombian government. Upon hearing they were denied a U.S. military aircraft full of their own citizens who were deported by this administration. Within hours, the Colombian government agreed to all of President Trump's demands, proving America is once again respected on the world stage.
Well, Brazil will not use its Air Force planes to assist with the deportation of Brazilian migrants in the United States, just days after a major flare-up in neighboring Colombia over the issue. Brazil summoned a senior U.S. diplomat to discuss the deportation of Brazilian migrants after it condemned handcuffing of deputies on a flight to repatriate migrants from the United States. Brazil's Foreign Affairs Minister, Mauro Vieira, told journalists that its citizens cannot be handcuffed in deportation flights while in Brazilian territory. And Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said he was open to receiving Venezuelan migrants deported from the United States. Maduro's statement comes as the United States has ramped up crackdown on illegal immigration, with President Trump declaring it a national emergency.
We want them to return. We want them to return so that they can be happy here. So they can come to create businesses, work and build in their land. What they do in their land stays in their land. It will be here for you, for your children, so you can come here to sing, to dance, to party, to work, to study, to build their homeland. We want them to come back. If they are not wanted over there, we do want them with love.
Nosotros sí los queremos, con amor.
Meanwhile, Venezuelan opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez met with Ecuador's President Daniel Noboa in Quito, where the leaders addressed a joint press conference on Tuesday. In his remarks, Noboa expressed Ecuador's willingness to sell up to 250,000 barrels of oil daily to nations that currently purchase oil from Venezuela if sanctions against Nicolas Maduro's regime was imposed. On his part, Gonzalez thanked the people of Ecuador for receiving displaced Venezuelans.
Al pueblo ecuatoriano.
I want to express my deep gratitude to the Ecuadorian people who have generously opened their doors to hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans who, displaced by this tragedy, have found refuge in this land. These compatriots marked by pain and uprooting are direct victims of a rhyme that has merged autocracy with organized crime.
Earlier in January, Nicolas Maduro was sworn in for his third consecutive term as president. He was declared the winner of July's election by both Venezuela's electoral authority and top court. However, his election victory had been disputed, with the opposition claiming a landslide victory for Gonzalez, who has been recognized as president-elect by several countries, including the United States. International election observers have also denounced the vote as undemocratic. And as the crisis unfolded in eastern Congo, M23 rebels seized Goma's airport, cutting off the city's lifeline for aid to hundreds of thousands displaced by war. Bodies lined the streets after a brutal offensive forced government troops into retreat. Reports indicated that Rwandan troops had backed the rebels. Escalating tensions in Kinshasa, rage boiled over. Protesters stormed UN offices and embassies, blaming foreign interference. The U.S. ordered its embassy staff to evacuate. With fighting spreading into neighborhoods, fears of a regional war mounted. The UN warned of a humanitarian disaster as thousands fled into Rwanda. South Africa mourned its fallen peacekeepers. And as the conflict in eastern Congo spirals, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has urgently spoken with the presidents of Congo and Rwanda seeking a path to peace. But UN officials warn the crisis, raging for decades, will not be solved overnight.
The crisis in the eastern of the Congo has been going on for decades. It's not going to be solved in 24 hours. What is clear is that it will not be solved through military operations by different governments, by different militias. On the ground, obviously, as you can imagine, the situation in Goma remains tense and rather fluid. M23 forces, we are told, are inside the city, and UN peacekeeping personnel and troops have largely been forced to shelter in their bases. The
United States has urged the UN Security Council to take action against Rwanda and M23 rebels as their brutal offensive grips eastern Congo. U.S. envoy Dorothy Shea demanded an immediate ceasefire, calling on Rwanda to withdraw its troops. In Goma, UN officials describe unimaginable civilian suffering. Addressing the council in a helmet and flak jacket, UN envoy Viviane Wande Pere warned of an escalating catastrophe.
The Luanda process is of the utmost urgency to ensure a path towards de-escalation and to avert the looming threat of a third Congo war. We remind all parties of their obligation to uphold international humanitarian law and stress that attacks on United Nations peacekeepers may constitute war crimes. The degree of suffering that the population in Goma and its environments is enduring is truly unimaginable.
Well, Congo's foreign minister demanded sanctions on Rwanda, while Rwanda's envoy denied involvement, blaming Kinshasa's military ambitions.
Continuera-t-il d'abuser votre respect?
From the United Nations Charter to international humanitarian law to human rights and also the Luanda and Nairobi peace processes, Rwanda has proven time and again that your statements mean absolutely nothing.
En passant par les processus de paix.
As rebel forces entrench themselves, international pressure mounts. The UN insists on a withdrawal of external forces.
I would like to recall that these attacks are not the first, but the latest of a long list of provocative actions by the government of the DRC. I'd like to also recall that Rwanda has always shown restraint and sought to engage the DRC in dealing with the root causes of insecurity in the region and along our common border.
Well, the bulletin of the atomic scientist on Tuesday moved the doomsday clock to 89 seconds before midnight, citing increased risks of global catastrophe. This is the closest the clock has ever been to midnight. The main factors contributing to this decision are Russian nuclear threats, tensions in hot spots, military applications of artificial intelligence and climate change. In related news, North Korea's Kim Jong-un has vowed to continue the country's nuclear program indefinitely. This comes after U.S. President Donald Trump expressed his intention to re-engage with Kim diplomatically. Kim has warned of an inevitable confrontation with hostile nations and emphasized the importance of bolstering North Korea's nuclear forces by 2025. North Korea claims its nuclear program is necessary to counter U.S. and ally threats. Relations between North and South Korea remain tense, with Pyongyang launching ballistic missiles in violation of UN sanctions. Trump has described Kim as a smart guy and plans to reach out to him again. And Myanmar's military junta is expected to extend the country's state of emergency, potentially marking the beginning of the fourth year under the military regime since a coup. The current state of emergency is expected to expire on Friday, that is 31st of January. Myanmar has been in turmoil since early 2021 when the military seized power from Aung San Suu Kyi elected government and violently suppressed pro-democracy protest, sparking a nationwide armed rebellion. Among those still imprisoned by the junta is the country's former leader and Nobel laureate Suu Kyi. The 79-year-old is serving a 27-year sentence tied to 14 criminal charges ranging from incitement and election fraud to corruption. She denies all the charges, according to her lawyers. And train services in Bangladesh resumed in parts of the country on Wednesday after railways running staff called off their strike. Railways services were suspended nationwide from Tuesday morning as the running staff launched their indefinite strike demanding pension and gratuity with their mileage allowance. The decision to withdraw the strike came after the railways assured the members of the staff that their demands will be met. And time now for a short break. We'll be back in a while.
What's highest on industry's wish list, if I have to ask you?
So highest in the industry's growth list is to see how we can, on the day the budget gets presented, we are able to say that this is a budget focused on growth. Right. So I would think that the private investments going forward, bolstered, as you said very rightly, that the public capex must continue, private capex will definitely pick up.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Indian Space Research Organisation carries out historic 100th mission from Sriharikota. GSLV F-15 successfully carries NVS-02 into its planned orbit. India rejects Canada's report on election interference, says that it is Trudeau government which is consistently interfering in India's internal affairs. A U.S. court temporarily blocks President Donald Trump's freeze on funding for federal aid programs at an emergency hearing after Trump's order triggers nationwide chaos and confusion. And now to all the latest from the Maha Kumbh, the largest gathering of humans anywhere on the planet. Well, millions of devotees continue to visit Prayagraj to take holy dip on the auspicious occasion of Mauni Amavasya. Authorities have issued an advisory asking all devotees to treat the ghats as equal to the Sangam and avoid any rush or misinformation of any kind. Elaborate security and crowd management systems are in place at the Mela site to assist the devotees. Traffic advisory of the police is also in place for Prayagraj to ensure proper crowd management. Meanwhile, a mishap has been reported from Kumbh. Prime Minister Modi has spoken to UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and is continuously monitoring the situation.
प्रयागराज महाकुंभ में श्रद्धालुजनों की भारी भीड़ है। लगभग 8 से 10 करोड़ श्रद्धालु इस समय प्रयागराज के अंदर मौजूद है। कल भी 5.5 करोड़ श्रद्धालुजनों ने महाकुंभ का स्नान किया था। ये जो भारी दबाव श्रद्धालुजनों के कारण और श्रद्धालुओं के संगम नोच पर जाने के कारण वहाँ पर एक बना हुआ है, लेकिन पूरा प्रशासन मौके पे वहाँ मौजूद है। रात्रि को 1 से 2 बजे के बीच में अखाड़ा मार्ग पर, जहाँ पे अखाड़ों के अमृत स्नान के दृश्य से बैरिकेड्स भी किए गए थे, तो बैरिकेड्स को फांद करके आने में कुछ श्रद्धालु गंभीर रूप से घायल हुए हैं। उन्हें तत्काल हॉस्पिटल में पहुंचा करके उपचार आदि की व्यवस्था उनके लिए की गई है। लगातार प्रशासन स्थानीय स्तर पर श्रद्धालुओं की सकुशल स्नान कराने के दृष्टि से रात्रि को कल सायंकाल 6:30-7 बजे से ही मौनी अमावस्या का मुहूर्त प्रारंभ होने के बाद से ही लगातार लगा हुआ है।
And now we have Akshay Dongre joining us from Prayagraj. Well, Akshay, the much-awaited second Amrit Snan today. Tell us more from there, as an advisory has also been issued for the safety of the pilgrims.
Well, yes, the advisories issued by the government are now being implemented by the authorities here, at least at the banks of the Holy Confluence where we are standing right now. As you can see, this is the opposite banks of the nose where the confluence actually takes place. However, even here right now, you can see there are thousands of people who have gathered. In fact, the number is said to be well over about 100 million. People who have in fact gathered here and around the Prayagraj city for this holy occasion of Mauni Amavasya, which is considered to be one of the most sacred days where the akhadas and the saints who usually come here for Maha Kumbh, they take a dip in the holy confluence of Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati. However, with the kind of crowds that have started gathering in, there was a stampede-like situation, as you have rightly said, but the situation was brought very soon under control by the authorities that have been deployed here. In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself is supervising the entire situation. He has spoken to Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath as well multiple times and is trying to supervise the kind of arrangements that have to be done in order to not just cater to the people who have gotten injured in that stampede, but also to ensure that it doesn't happen again, because this is a major day for the devotees to come and take a dip in the holy Ganga river. But also there will be other Shahi Snans that are major dip days that will be coming in the future as well, including on 3rd of February, 2nd to 3rd of February, and then again on 26th of February, and then a couple of days in between as well. So there are going to be such busy days again, and that is why the estimated number that was given of total number of devotees who will be coming here was about 400 million, that is about 40 crore. So a huge gathering of people is taking place, and the arrangements are trying to hold up as much as they can, because the number of people keep increasing. In fact, the authorities are now implementing new measures to ensure that arrangements are up to date with the increasing and the surging number of devotees. In fact, the authorities have announced about 350 new trains that will be starting from Prayagraj and going to different parts of the country, so that the people who are stuck here, they can travel back to their homes. Other arrangements are being made, health camps are being set up, and people are being advised to not go to one place all at one time, because that leads to the number of people that is larger than the population of several countries around the world to gather at a small area, and that can in fact lead to a dangerous situation. And even though the authorities are trying their best, it is not always possible to cater to such a large crowd that gathers only at the same spot. So the authorities are time and again announcing that people should go and take dip wherever they can, at whatever bank that they can reach, and not try to reach at one place at the same time, because here at this holy confluence, every place is a sacred when it comes to the Ganga river. So the people should not be focusing only on the Sangam Ghat, that is the nose point of this confluence, but after the confluence the entire river is holy and people can take bath anywhere. That is the advisory that has been issued by the authorities.
Alright, so treat all ghats as Sangam Ghats. That's the main advisory for today. Thank you so much Akshay for joining us and giving us all those details. And now let's take a look at other stories making news. The death toll in the building collapse in North Delhi's Burari has risen to 5. The newly constructed building near Oscar Public School crashed on Monday evening. So far, 21 people have been rescued as the rescue operation is still underway. The cause of the collapse is yet to be determined, with the Municipal Corporation of Delhi set to investigate the incident further. As western state of Maharashtra registers over 100 cases of Guillain-Barré syndrome, the Director General of Indian Council of Medical Research, Dr. Rajiv Behel, said that the cases are under investigation as a team of experts have collected various samples. He said that the cause of link of GPS is found only in 40% of cases. The Union Health Ministry has also deputed a high-level multidisciplinary team to Pune to aid state authorities in further investigation. And the celebration of the 76th Republic Day in India will come to a close with the melodious, iconic beating retreat ceremony at Vijay Chowk on Wednesday. This annual event marks the closing event of the Republic Day celebrations, which involves the performance by the Indian Army, Navy, Air Force and Central Armed Police Forces bands. When on to some weather news, a study by World Weather Attribution found climate change increased the likelihood of deadly Los Angeles wildfires, killing 28 people and damaging nearly 16,000 structures. Climate change made the fires 35% more likely, while low rainfall in the Los Angeles areas during October to December is now 2.4 times more likely. These conditions, combined with the annual dry, hot Santa Ana winds that blow from the desert throughout Southern California, created the perfect storm for wildfires. The researchers determined that on average, drought conditions now extend for approximately 23 additional days each year compared to the pre-industrial era. Meanwhile, firefighters continue to battle the wildfires of the Palisades and Eaton Canyon regions, which remain active. The Eaton fires have been 99% contained as of Monday, as reported by California's Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. The Hughes fires also prompted evacuation order for tens of thousands of people. Conditions are expected to improve this weekend with increased humidity and scattered showers reaching Southern California. An extreme cold has blanketed Niagara Falls in heavy snow and ice. Footage from Tuesday captured on the New York side showed the iconic landmark transforming into icy spectacle with heavy snow and ice enveloping the iconic landmark. Visitors marveled at the sight, with a tourist from Michigan, Laura Jolly, calling it incredible. Niagara Parks noted that the falls never fully freeze, even in extreme cold. Instead, as temperatures drop, mist and spray form a thick crust of ice over the rushing water, creating the illusion of a frozen waterfall. However, the water continues to flow beneath the ice.
Oh, it's incredible. I saw it 20 years ago in the middle of the summer, and this is a very different look, obviously. It's a little brisk out here, but we wanted to take a little detour and come and see it in the middle of the winter.
And moving on, Nepal organized Energy Transition for Resilient and Low Carbon Economy Summit 2025 in Kathmandu on Monday in an attempt to build a foundation for a resilient and low carbon economy, pursuing sustainable and inclusive energy development. Nepal's Energy Minister Deepak Khatka said that the government was implementing plans for increasing domestic internal power consumption in the industrial sector and energy export promotion. Khatka said that the assistance of the donor agencies and development partners should be effectively utilized for sustainable development. Minister Khatka also discussed the provisions of a 10-year energy development strategy of the government. And still to come on DD India News Hour. US European tech shares recover some losses from steep DeepSeek Monday sell-off. Trump's crypto czar says intellectual property theft may be at play. World chess champion T. Gukesh becomes sole leader at Tata Steel chess tournament in Netherlands.
This week on Defense Dynamics, explore India's scramjet breakthrough in hypersonic missiles and its edge in global tech. Why is India reviving its German submarine deal with HDW after 50 years? Find out what's at stake in Project 75I. How does Pralay strengthen India's border defense? A closer look at its tactical advantage. And is China's air power really ahead of India's? The IAF versus PLAAF comparison that might surprise you. Catch it all this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and moving on, Chinese AI sensation DeepSeek limited the registration of new users due to large-scale cyber attacks on its services. The company cited large-scale malicious attacks for outages and its inability to take on new users. DeepSeek was developed by a startup based in the eastern Chinese city of Hangzhou. The low-cost Chinese generative AI venture is thought to have matched the US companies in its abilities, but at a fraction of the cost. Chinese firm DeepSeek's artificial intelligence chatbot has soared to the top of the Apple Store's download charts. The program has shaken up the tech industry and hit US titans including Nvidia, the AI chip juggernaut that saw nearly $600 billion of its market value erased, the most ever for one day on Wall Street. The US stocks, its shares in chip-making giant Nvidia on Tuesday clawed back some of their losses. American tech shares tanked Monday, with Nvidia tumbling almost 17% after China's DeepSeek unveiled its R1 chatbot, which it claims can match the capacity of top US AI products for a fraction of their cost. All three major indices on Wall Street finished higher, with the Nasdaq Composite rising 2.0%, buoyed by a rise in tech stocks, reversing some of its losses from Monday. And ChatGPT creator OpenAI said on Tuesday that Chinese firms are constantly trying to tap into US rivals to improve Chinese artificial intelligence models. OpenAI made the comments after the White House said it was evaluating possible national security concerns raised by China's DeepSeek. Working on these lines, OpenAI has launched ChatGPT Gov, a customized AI tool for US government agencies. With 90,000 existing ChatGPT users across federal, state and local US governments, this new version aims to enhance productivity. OpenAI's goal is to ensure AI benefits the public and aligns with democratic values. ChatGPT Gov is built on the enterprise version and can operate on Microsoft's cloud platform. And India is gearing up for Budget 2025. The Indian industry has high expectations for policy support, fiscal incentives and structural reforms to drive economic growth and resilience. Shama Mishra reports for more from Mumbai.
Industry stakeholders expect a progressive budget that prioritizes economic expansion, technological advancements, and environmental sustainability. They anticipate well-structured policies that will not only stimulate business growth but also foster a conducive ecosystem for digital transformation and green initiatives. Sanjay Mariwala, president of IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, says that he is expecting that this budget will maintain consistency in policies. He also expects simplification of procedures, as ease of doing business is a significant area for India and it should be made a prime agenda in all government departments.
Fundamentally, what we look for is maintaining some consistency in policies. Let's not make too many changes every year. Year on year, changes don't spell well for a developed economy. Ease of doing business is a very significant area for India. I think we need to focus on that and make simplification of procedures and ease of doing business a prime agenda for all departments of the government.
Applauding the production-linked incentive scheme, he says it has given great results and there is a need to step up the manufacturing. There should be inclusion of more sectors in PLI, he adds.
I think PLI has given us great results and we need to step up our manufacturing capability and capacities significantly. I think incentivizing companies through PLI is an excellent scheme and it's giving great results. It should include more sectors under PLI.
Anant Goenka, Senior Vice President of FICCI, says boosting domestic consumption and addressing inflationary pressures is a key area that demands attention in this budget. He recommends time-bound consumption e-vouchers for lower and middle-income families to stimulate discretionary spending.
A key focus area that demands immediate attention is boosting domestic consumption and addressing inflationary pressures. We recommend introducing time-bound consumption e-vouchers for lower and middle-income families to stimulate discretionary spending. To combat food inflation, we also propose establishing a food inflation response and strategy team under the PMO's authority.
A balanced approach, one that upholds fiscal discipline while simultaneously encouraging bold investments in innovation and infrastructure, will be instrumental in shaping India's long-term economic trajectory. The Budget 2025 holds the potential to strengthen India's position as a key player in the global economic landscape, ensuring sustainable prosperity for businesses and citizens alike. Shama Mishra's report for DD India.
And time now for some sports updates. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the National Games on Tuesday in northern state of Uttarakhand. A host of sports such as rugby, aquatics, badminton, football, kabaddi and rafting have commenced. Over 10,000 athletes and coaches are competing for glory. The 38th edition of the Games features 32 sports as well as 4 demonstration events. Maha Kumbh, Kalaripattu, rafting, yogasan are the 4 demonstration events. Sporting events will conclude on February 13th and the closing ceremony will be held a day later. And for more on the National Games, we have Narayan Singh joining us from there. Well, Narayan, after Prime Minister Modi inaugurated the 38th National Games in Dehradun, Uttarakhand yesterday, what all is lined up for today?
The games had been started in Lipakshi, and we know that after a grand opening ceremony in Dehradun, where thousands of participants participated, and it was a herald of a new era in the Uttarakhand sporting history, and definitely it will act as a milestone considering the fact that Uttarakhand is hosting these games for the first time, and the event had already started before the opening ceremony, as there are 11 venues where the sports are taking place across Uttarakhand, and triathlon was taking place in Halwani, and in Dehradun too, the shooting will start, where the Olympian shooter who took part in the Olympics and the medal winners at the Olympics like Swapnil Kusale and Sarabjot will take part, and apart from that, swimming and other sports will also start from today, and it's going to be a festival of sports in Uttarakhand. As we know that it's the Dev Bhumi, the land of gods, and now it has been converted into the land of sports, land of games, and definitely as Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi yesterday mentioned that when he took the darshans of the Baba Kedarnath, and spontaneously a thought came and that this is the decade of the Uttarakhand, and definitely it's looking on that line, Uttarakhand, the way it is going forward. And he also said that in his speech that the way Uttarakhand is a big tourism spot and people are coming here for the Char Dham Yatra, but he also said that the people of Uttarakhand, the government of Uttarakhand should not solely rely on the Char Dham Yatra. They should further discover the new avenues to development, new avenues to establish Uttarakhand as the hub of India. So all in all, it's going to be a fantastic start for the Uttarakhand here, because the top-notch athletes across India are taking part in it, and 32 sports are there and 4 competitive sports, that are 4 traditional sports. Definitely it's a blend of tradition and modern games here. It's going to be a mega event for not only for the people of Uttarakhand but for the whole nation.
Today, athletics also will see the highest participation, as you said, with 700 athletes competing in various events. Tell us about that.
Definitely, we mentioned that athletics event, track and field events, badminton, table tennis, aquatics, and especially the shooting. All eyes will be in shooting, because all the star shooters of India are participating here in these games. But the most important thing, that the national games is the spirit of the Indian sports, where we can say that the top-notch athletes are also participating and the rookie athletes are also participating. So here the level of competition is very tough, and giving exposure to the players who are exploring the new horizons, new avenues for their competitiveness, for their practice, and definitely it will give them an environment of the international event, because here the number of athletes, overall athletes, is around 10,000. So it is equivalent to the number of athletes that are participating in any mega event. So we can say that it's a big thing, and the quantum of organization is not less than any international event of not less than of international standard.
All right.
As the equipments are bought from the countries like USA, Europe. So it's going to be a grand event.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Narayan, for all those details from there. And world chess champion D. Gukesh has become the sole leader after he beat Leon Luc Mendonca in the 9th round of the Tata Steel Chess Tournament in Wisk aan Zee of the Netherlands. He clinched his 4th win of the tournament in just 43 moves. Gukesh, who became the youngest world chess champion in Singapore last month, has secured 6.5 points from a possible 9. Gukesh's next 4 opponents include 2 Dutchmen, Max Womderen and Jordan van Forest. He will also face a stern challenge from last year's defending champion BE. And Australia's capital, Sydney, celebrated the first day of Lunar New Year with traditional lion dance. The ceremony marks the traditional mock-up lions dance where locals dressed up as snakes. The coming year is alluded as the year of snake. Take a look. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Vipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.